So about a year ago, I was sitting right here doing a Zoom meeting with an estate planning attorney. I'm a wealth manager for minority retired women. I needed another option to refer my clients to that needed an all virtual option, right? And this guy offered that. So I'm meeting with this attorney who has like 30 years of experience. And at the end, he looks at me and he says, "Have you ever considered YouTube? I think you'd be great." I don't remember what he said. It was something along those lines. And I dismissed it. It just wasn't a part of my current business model. I do seminars. I do face-to-face meetings. It didn't match with where I thought I was going at that moment. So I thanked him kindly. We moved on. It's interesting though, when someone that has the experience that he does in estate planning, we're having a conversation about estate planning, and he suggested, as someone that has been on YouTube for years, he's got, I don't know what it was last year, but at this point, over 300,000 subscribers, 800 videos. He's got some experience, some knowledge on the ins and outs. And so I probably should have paid attention at that moment. About a month later, I'm standing right outside this window, washing my dog, which I rarely do. She goes to a groomer, always has. But I decided I'm a washer. It needs to be done. I just stepped on the garden hose and just turned in. I break my ankle. Everything stopped. Everything stopped. I was in the middle of setting up new dates with this partnership I had with a local library system. All these talks are planned. Everything stops because it goes from thinking it was just sprained to no, it's broke at urgent care to the doctor saying, "Do not pass go. I'll see you for surgery in a week." The timing was so interesting because this was March 2024. Well, December 2023, my grandmother died. That was my first real loss. I'd never really experienced grief on that level before. Someone that I had spent a significant amount of time with, and then all of a sudden they're not there. I realized it was just the nature of the relationship I'd had with her. I lived the closest to her. I spent a ton of time with her. She was my greatest confidant, my secret keeper. When I got pregnant the fourth time, I took the pregnancy test at her house. I didn't tell her that's what I was going to do, but I came to pick up the other kids, go into the bathroom, take the test, come out bawling, and cried like a baby in her lap, and she thought something was majorly wrong. And it was another baby, and she was the most comforting. It was just the perfect place to be in that scenario. When I lost that baby, that's where I went for comfort. When we were buying our first house, which we had gone through that process before, it hadn't worked, so we didn't tell anyone what we were doing because it may or may not work, and it's just can be a very stressful process, especially your first time doing it. So only grandma knew. And she wouldn't talk about it, and she would see me and say, "Baby, how's it going with the house?" And I'd give her the update, and she'd just pat me and say, "It's gonna be okay. I'm praying for you." So processing that death, watching someone die, which death is such a fascinating process, but experiencing it firsthand for the first time, and then breaking my ankle, it was one of those moments where it's not a why, it's a what. What am I supposed to be learning? It's one of those places where you land and you realize you got to stop and listen. What is it that you're supposed to learn? And 2024 just became the greatest year of learning for me. We do a summer series at the library, moving on. Great reception, great information. Everyone loves the information because it's just such needed information. By the last one in September, before voting season started, it was booked. I think they had space for 30 people. It was booked with a waiting list. First one this year in 2025 at a senior center, standing room only. We're bringing chairs in from storage to seat these people. Someone said, oh, how did she put it? One of these sweet attendees said it's a conversation that no one wants to have, but done in a very comfortable way. And that's what people walk away with. Like, I didn't know so many of these things. I didn't know how to apply it to myself. But what I realized was, yes, there's a huge demand for it. But then at the end of the day, all the pieces are connecting, and I realize you've got to take this online. That is what this is. I'm so excited to have you here. There's so much I want to tell you, all these conversations in my head that I have all day long. And now we're going to share them together over coffee. So I'm super excited. I promise a path forward, information that applies directly to you that you can immediately take and take action on, regardless of your situation. So at any rate, hi, my name is Stephanie Richards. I've educated over 250 families in estate planning concepts. We've just refined this process to get people to the finish line with what they need, with the guidance for their children, their heirs, their beneficiaries, in the most efficient way possible. So I'm excited to share all those thoughts with you. My mission really is more families having access to this information, especially in our community. More families of color with estate plans, because that's just it's what's needed. It's information we don't have. So much of the information online doesn't apply. Everyone's situation is different, because we all deserve to have a say in how we're cared for and what happens to us when we pass, what happens to our stuff. So come here for learning, conversations. All right, that's all. Okay, so I forgot to add this part. If you go through this process and create a plan, regardless of your situation, and there's infinite number of ways to do it, which we'll talk about. If this education helps you in any way and you complete your plan, I want to invite you to that celebration at the end of the year, because it should be celebrated. It needs to be a topic of conversation. I want estate planning to be something that's talked about around the coffee table, it's talked about at dinner. So as this comes up, I'm just excited to share, stay tuned for details, but there will be a virtual celebration for everyone that completes their estate plan this year. I cannot wait to see you there, so stay tuned. So I think my hair is telling a tale. Kind of wild side. Then there's this more controlled, defined side. It's literally like having two different heads of hair. I don't